So first of all, it's very typical that these sorts of governments essentially try to capture the state itself, that they try to replace what in many countries should be a neutral civil service or bureaucracy with their own partisan actors. Now, some of you might come back to me and say, well, that's plausible, but hey, plenty of parties try to do that. That's not particularly populist. True, but the difference is that the practice that most other actors are trying at least to hide, because there's something shameful, problematic about it, populists very often do very openly, and with what in their mind is actually a moral justification. It goes back to their core claim to what you might call a moral monopoly of representing the real people. For, after all, the state is there for the people. So why shouldn't the people's only authentic representatives try to get the state and make it work for the people? Secondly, all these parties, when they can, when they have enough power, when there aren't countervailing forces that are strong enough, will also try to engage in what political scientists tend to call mass clientelism, which is just a highfalutin word for saying that these parties will try to reward their own supporters with material benefits or bureaucratic favors. Again, many of you might come back to me and say, well, yeah, but I mean, don't all parties sort of try to do that? Is that really so specifically populist? Again, the difference is that something that others are much keener to hide, populists can do very openly and with what in their mind is a moral justification. Remember that from the get-go, not all citizens are the people. Only some people are the people. So the fact that only those who agree with the populists get something from the state is not something peculiar or shameful or problematic. That's actually how things should be. The fact that everybody else is completely excluded is, in their mind, right and proper. Thirdly, whenever there is protest, it becomes, not least symbolically and morally, extremely important for populist governments to discredit that protest comprehensively, even if the protest poses no real challenge to their power. All these actors will end up doing something or engage in a strategy that I think it's fair to say was pioneered by Vladimir Putin. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that, again, in line with their basic claim of a moral monopoly of representation, it simply cannot be true that parts of the people themselves are rising up against their only authentic, legitimate representatives. So how do you explain that situation? Well, the easiest way out is to say that what looks like civil society protesting out there, what looks like citizens engaging in demonstrations, is actually all steered and paid for by somebody on the outside.